What's going on, everybody? This is Clint from the Diehard MMA podcast. This is odds.com. This video was filmed exclusively for odds.com. We break down UFC 257, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor, with special guest, the UFC's own Brian Boom Kelleher, helping us out on the podcast. It's a great episode. Make sure you check it out. Hit the link below. Head on over to odds.com.
Next up, last fight on the early prelims, we've got Andrew Sanchez coming in against Makhmud Muradov. Sanchez is 13-5. Muradov is 24-6. We got to mention it. Makhmud Muradov, the only guy sponsored by the Money Mayweather team. He's the only MMA fighter, and that says something.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of shocking, right? Like, out of all people, like nobody would expect that, but I guess there's some ties there. I don't know where they originated, but yeah, Muradov is he's part of Money Mayweather, so that's kind of scary in its own. You know, they see something special in the guy.
Yeah.
He's looking shredded leading up to this fight. Andrew Sanchez is definitely the veteran. He's faced, more competition, and I think he's kind of underrated a little bit. You know, he's coming off a win, right, in his last fight. But it's been a little bit since he fought. I think Muradov's definitely gonna come in and have a lot more power on the feet. Sanchez probably gonna have a little bit more advantage, in the grappling realm of things. But you never know, because Sanchez, he has power too. He won his last fight by KO, TKO. So that you got to watch out for him on the feet as well. But I just don't see Sanchez getting this one done. I see Muradov coming out the victor. I think it'll be a finish too within the distance.
Nice. Boom. I like that call. So I'm right there with you. I do think that Sanchez is slightly underrated. This guy, he's real meat and potatoes. You know what I mean? He keeps a high boxing guard, physically strong, good wrestling, sharp jab, but he kind of gets into brawls and he relies on his gas tank. If he can't muscle up his opponents against the fence and control long periods of time, that's when he really seems to get outclassed. You know what I mean? The guys he's lost to, like Marvin Vettori, but he's coming off that big knockout. He's got the wind in his sails right now off of that. I think Makhmud Muradov I think he's next level. I think he's got a higher talent ceiling, and I think that he's going to show up and really impress some people here. What shocks me in this spot is the bookies actually opened Muradov as a plus 155 underdog. And I'm floored by that. I bet a 2-unit bet on Makhmud Muradov. I got him at minus 140 myself. That's about where he's sitting right now. I think he gets it done. I think he gets the win, and I would not hate that knockout prop sprinkle like you were mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely think the younger, hungrier guy coming in there, he hasn't faced, much damage in his career, obviously, as of yet. And I think seeing his fights previously, he's definitely very dangerous, very aggressive, and I feel like that's going to be a little bit too much.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think he's got more tools too. He mixes it up better than Andrew Sanchez does.
Yeah, I mean, Sanchez has that decision with Vettori. I mean, that says a lot now looking at what Vettori has done with his career. You could look at that, but I just don't see him getting it done in this one.
I agree. And, he did go to Vettori, which I'm high on Vettori. Anybody that hangs in there with Vettori gets bonus points from me. But at the same time, it was pretty one-sided. I rewatched that one leading up to this one, and he was not competitive in that fight.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to give a shout out one more time. My distinguished guest, Brian Boom Kelleher, joining us on the show today. This is odds.com. Everybody make sure you smash that like button down below. It is 6:45 p.m. Eastern time right now, and I do want to give a shout out to my boys. Odds.com, they're going to do the Propping You Up show here in just about a half hour or so. They'll be going live. We're going to overlap just a little bit because of the craziness of this week. So as soon as we're done here, make sure you hop over and support them as well. They'll be doing that. And share the show. Make sure everybody gets a little bit of me and Brian working together here.
Let's go.
We got a light heavyweight fight coming up. This should be a fun one. Khalil Roundtree taking on Marcin Prachnio. Khalil is 9-4. Prachnio is 13-5. Khalil, a big, tall powerhouse of a man, really working on that Muay Thai. A buddy of mine, Rockstar Z, shout out to my guy, calls him Tylil, which I think that's a pretty awesome nickname. He's a bit of a fish out of water grappling, though. When you put this guy on his back, he doesn't seem to do quite as well. I like to say he's a good hammer and a really bad nail. You know what I mean? He just can't take it when you flip the script on him. Marcin Prachnio, however, seems like almost like the UFC's kind of serving Khalil up a little something here. He's 0-3 in the UFC, all 3 by knockout. I kind of feel like the script is written on this one. Boom. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, and Khalil's also coming off a knockout himself. I think the UFC sometimes does that too. They kind of match up 2 guys facing knockout losses and kind of see how they can rebound. You know, Khalil's definitely, you know, I know he went to Thailand working on his Muay Thai for a while, and we saw that elbow he had landed at one time. That was nasty knockout. But then, you know, he lost in his last fight. So you got to kind of gauge where his mentality is at. You know, how's he feeling? But I like what you said. You know, when he's the nail, he feels great, you know. I mean, you know, he's doing awesome, but like when someone else is the hammer and they're, you know, putting him on his back or he's not doing so well, I think he starts to fade in these fights. His cardio starts to go down and down. So, you know, we'll see as the fight goes on. I'll kind of get a better gauge on it, but I think Khalil's gonna just have a little bit more power, do a little bit better on the feet, and I think he's just a little more dangerous there too. So I'm going with Khalil. I think he'll get the job. I think he might get a TKO here.
I'm right there with you again. You know, with these big chalky favorites, it's hard to disagree. You know what I mean? He's sitting about minus 330. So you're going to have to lay, you know, $330 to win 100 here in this spot. And again, that's just a tough order to ask for. The way I would maybe look at this one would be kind of more of a total. They've got the over and under set at 1.5 on this one. Under's minus 145. You know, with what we've seen from Prachnio, if you're betting on Khalil, you might as well bet him to get it done early and just take that under instead of eating all that chalk.
Yeah, is that under 2.5 rounds or is it 1.5?
Only 1.5, unfortunately.
Yeah,
which gets sketchy.
Yeah, I know. That end of that first round, you're like, come on, man, something's got to happen here.
Oh, dude, there's nothing worse than holding a 1.5 in your pocket and then having round 2 start. You're sitting there like this because you got 2.5 minutes for somebody to hit the canvas.
Yeah, the 1.5 scare me. I like the 1.5s with 2 guys that are like wild men. You know what I mean? Like 2 guys that you know are just going to get reckless right off the jump, which is kind of hard to find. A lot of guys feel it out. So I don't know with this one. I mean, it's 2 big guys. You know what I mean? So I think there's high chances that it's under 1.5.
Yeah, and that's where we got to remember the weight classes, right? And Khalil Roundtree is not a small 205er. He is a huge human being.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Definitely has that power. And if he's working on Muay Thai, you know, I think he's rested enough from losing his last fight, and I think he'll come back strong.
I like it.